My name is John and I'm at Paint School on Instagram. I've done over $15 million in paint jobs and I'm based out of Huntington Beach, California. Aaron is at Alpha Painting on Instagram. He's managed huge commercial projects with impossible timelines and now is a few years into building his own operation out of Branson, Missouri.
And you should probably check out our full process videos on YouTube because they're pretty badass.
Our point in doing this podcast is to put our 40 plus years of combined experience to the test. We've seen a decline in the industry, and while I think it's a bit arrogant to think we can change it, we're giving it a shot. Listen up and let us know what you think. This is Paint Sniffers Podcast.
All right, we're back on, and this time we are going to talk about, we're going to do a two-parter on this one. It's going to be about pay scales kind of across the country. We are going to dig in on that one, so that'll be a separate podcast. And this one, we're going to talk about some of the politics of people talking about pay, what the pay rates are, how that affects your business. I saw in a Facebook group recently, somebody had posted, what would you do if your employee talked about their pay? And almost everybody was like against hiding that. Everybody was like, well, it shouldn't matter what you pay. It should be open to everybody. What are you trying to hide? Blah, blah, blah. Right. And I think we both have different opinions on that. And I had posted something in there along those lines, and we'll dig into that. But first, I had a night job this last week, and shit totally went sideways on it. It was doing a restaurant, and we'd done work in this place before, so it's like a repeat client, and they're wanting to totally rehaul the place. And we're doing different colors everywhere. There's all kinds of different colors. They got a designer involved, and everything's changing. And there's a couple areas that are difficult to get to. They're high up. They're around air ducts, air conditioning ducts. So it's a little tricky. So I went out there Monday night to get the guys set up. My salesperson came out. We met with the manager and all my guys and kind of just got everything nailed down. So I was there for like an hour, hour and a half, just going over game plan and really getting the whole project set up. So Thursday and Friday, I had to be out of town. We drove to Arizona for a graduation for my nephew. And so I couldn't be in town to see the end of this project get going. And so everything was just remote by phone. You know, it was a 9 p.m. start time, 4:30 a.m. finish time. And shit just started going sideways. And it was like, you know, so for projects like this where there's difficulty, I'll give my guys a game plan. Like, this is what I want to do tonight. This is what each person should work on. These are kind of the steps. This is a goal for the evening. And so one of the guys in particular that I had on this project likes to take things into his own hands and change things up as he sees fit. The only problem is he's not experienced enough to really know how to do that well. And so if we're on a deadline or a tight timeline, he's not a great person to do that, right? He thinks that he is, and he doesn't take the criticism well and seems to not be learning from the criticism. And so, you know, I get notices in the morning, you know, when they're leaving that XYZ got done, not ABC. And so I finish my night, you know, getting a game plan set up. And then I wake up to see that my game plan did not get carried through. So then all fucking morning, I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get back on track. Then the next evening, same thing, game plan. This is why you should have listened to the game plan to begin with. This is where we're at now. Now I need you to take these steps, right? So that shit was just a big headache. You know, I'm out of town and expecting that thing to go smoothly. It's not a very difficult job. It's just we have to follow a certain pattern. We can't leave anything out at the end of the evening or the next morning because it's an open restaurant, you know, so they're open all day. And man, just fucking frustrating, really frustrating to deal with. It's hard to be comfortable out of town away from it where I couldn't go in there and just fucking point everything out in person, you know? Just a pain in my ass.
Yeah, dude, I hate the night shift stuff. I I when I this last job that I had before I went into business for myself, that was one of the first things that I fired off on was running night shifts for Walmart's, painting the exterior Walmart's fucking in the winter with the the high flash aromatic fucking naphtha product. I think it was a low temp of 19. So I was running the exteriors, and then he had a crew inside. So I just had myself and a ground man to do the exteriors, and then there was an interior crew, and they got to work on a day shift. And it fucking sucked for me because the dude what that was inside was not hitting his marks. So I would have to run night shifts for like a week or two and then pull off and immediately switch into a day shift and vice versa, dude. And we were having to switch our schedules like, every other fucking week, and just to help the guy inside hit his marks. And some days it meant that, the changeover just meant that we're going to work all day and then work all fucking night. And that was like the only way you could effectively change over. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that shit got old, dude. That was prior to me having taken over the reins for that company, but it got to the point to where I was so pissed at that dude that I would have like we had an Airlesco, which is pretty much the equivalent to a GH300 DI, 3 gallons a minute, and I'd have it in the back of the truck. I'd be pulling lights behind us, and so if I needed paint or I needed to go to the paint store, I couldn't use my fucking truck. So I got pissed one time, asked the dude if I could use his truck, and fucking I need to go to the paint store, get some shit, go get the paint, fucking bring it back to the truck, and then drive his truck off like a quarter mile away and walk back to the job. Or fucking taking his truck be parked out in the front of the building and take and pump up a bunch of pallets of flowers and put it all the way around his truck to where he couldn't leave. But shit, I
Mhm.
was about the end. I was
Yeah.
starting to go fucking insane, bouncing back and forth between day and night, with no sleep.
Yeah, that's rough. And that's what, so for this project, for any night projects or weekend projects, my guys are all, it's voluntary, right? It's like, if I can't get enough people to volunteer, then I'll, sweeten the pot a little bit and try to get someone motivated to do it. Um, but it's voluntary. It's not like these guys had to be there. Well, they did once they committed, then it's on them. Um, but so these are the types of things where if I had someone that was like dedicated project manager, I could have just had them deal with all this shit, and they just give me the high level view of whatever happened. This is what went wrong. This is how I fixed it. Everything's back on track, you know. But instead, I'm like fucking fielding text messages while we're at dinner with the family. Um, I'm helping with getting paint orders because there were color changes on this project. Like it became a pain in the ass project, even from the client, because they changed. Um, one of the colors they gave us was wrong. It's supposed to be a color match on certain walls, and the color they gave us for that match was the wrong color. Um, One of the big difficult parts, we got it painted, and designer didn't like the color, so now we're changing it. One of the main walls that we did early on around all these windows and glass, tons of cutting in, they don't like that color, so that's getting changed now. So there was some shit that got changed in the middle of it that made it difficult from the client side. So, but while I'm gone, like on a little mini vacation, I'm just dealing with fucking changing colors, talking to the client, um, trying to get my guys back on track, trying to fucking get them to listen to me, about which direction I want the process to go. Um, it was just a pain in the ass, and these projects come up every now and then. It's not all the time, but every now and then, those are the types of things that I wish I had someone dedicated to just managing people, because it just gets real annoying after a while.
Speaking of managing people, what do you think that guy would think of the 30 guys underneath of him conspiring about their fucking wages? How do you think that your lead guy would feel about that?
Yeah, so that's something where it becomes a problem, and I think it's easy to, when you have two or three guys, it's easy to say, hey, pay should be all out in the open, like there should be, and I have um, like an open door policy on what it takes to get to a certain pay level. So my guys know what positions pay which ballpark ranges, you know, so they know, like at a foreman level, it's like 25 to 30, you know. Um, so that's not private information. But if somebody is at the same foreman level and one guy's getting paid 25 and one guy's getting paid 30, that's when it becomes a problem, you know, because it's like, the $30 an hour guy might be, well, is most likely more seasoned. Um, and one of the big differences in somebody that's a seasoned foreman and somebody that's not is the guy at 25 an hour is probably running in circles more, like being less efficient with their time, checking in on progress, what the other guys are doing, checking in on them less, right? So things are a little more out of control. And then the $30 an hour guys probably, like, for my instructions, I want them like, hey, every hour or so, just stop and see what everybody's doing. Make sure they're doing shit the right way. Like, take an accounting of where we're at on the project. Stop a half hour early, check all your paints, think about your plan for tomorrow. Send me over an update. You know, if you need materials, paint, supplies, equipment, whatever, like, get all that shit sorted out before you leave for the day. You know, and do it on company time. Like, that's, you're paid to do that. So that $25 an hour guy sees the $30 an hour guy like fucking taking a break every hour, you know, seemingly just walking around, right, for 10 minutes at a time. Sees him stop working, you know, before finishing time, and they get pissed off about that stuff. You know, it starts building resentment. And even if they don't say anything to you directly, that shit comes out when it's time to get more money. You know, it's
Yeah.
like I won't hear about it at all on the day to day. But then when we're doing reviews or whatever, it's like, well, this guy makes $30 an hour. I work way harder than him, right? Why does he get paid so much more than me?
Yeah.
And then you have the conversation, right? But it could build a lot of resentment, and so then that $25 an hour guy works less, right? Is like, well, that guy's fucking getting, I'm not getting paid anywhere near what he's getting, so fuck that, I'm not working so hard. And he works less, and then he spreads that word around to the guys under him. Well, this guy and those guys are getting paid more than us, like, fuck it, let them work harder. You know, they're not going to work hard, we're not working hard. And then it's fucking poison to the whole company.
Yeah, dude, it spreads like wildfire. Like
Yeah.
where this is what going to be like an hour long podcast or whatever, but I can talk on multiple different aspects of it. So,
Yeah.
I touched on the whole traveling for traveling around doing Walmarts on a night shift and having to bounce back and forth and switching between day and night shifts, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
um when I went to work for that company, I looked around. I'm like, dude, these guys are fucking clowns. Like, I don't know if I can handle this. And um, I had to make a decision. It was, a fucking quit, or the fact that, like, hey, I kind of like this boss. I'm tired of jumping around, bouncing companies,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find somewhere where I want to work. And I took on, my other option was, how long would it take for me to fucking, you know, get the reins and then fucking restructure this shit. Well, that
Mm-hmm.
ended up taking me about 6 to 8 months, but um, I pretty much pushed everybody out, but a couple guys or whatever, and then restructured the company, and we ended up
Mm-hmm.
doing millions of dollars or whatever, coming out of pretty much what could only be described as losses, what the dude had going on. But
Yeah.
um, when I first started, I had to watch my P's and Q's and not outwork the lead guy, not make the lead guy look bad, and play the
Yeah.
fucking politics, play the fucking game. And
Mm-hmm.
then any time where I got on a job by myself, that was the time to set a precedence. And
Yeah.
slowly over time, the boss starts to see, like, whoa, wait a minute, how the fuck is this guy able to do this, right?
Yeah.
And that's the distinction. Like, you,
Mm-hmm.
if you're looking at a situation where you're like, hey, pay should be equal and everybody should know. No, dude, they fucking shouldn't. Everyone is not
Right.
equal. Like, and here's like a major example with that company. um I eventually, like after a couple months, I got my own apprentice, right? And I was pulling away from his lead guy, and the dude was starting to put me on my own projects. And, it was to the point to where I needed an apprentice. So
Yeah.
the boss let me hire somebody. I, I looked for a while. I found this dude. I brought him on, and I gave him the money that he asked for. What's your number?
Mm-hmm.
And he told me. I gave it to him, and we went on doing this shit, traveling the country, doing Walmarts, fucking insane hours, day to night to day to night to day.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, we came back home from, I think we were in Kansas or something, and the boss's son was in the garage while we're there getting checks at the shop, and the boss's son dropped his pay scale. He dropped his number to that guy that I had working for me, and it turns out, it's the boss's son. He got
Yeah.
fucking paid a lot more money, right?
Yeah.
And that dude fucking, I had him for about, I don't know, a week or two longer, and he bounced, dude. I lost
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
because the boss's son dropped a fucking number. Now,
Mm-hmm.
eventually, once I took over the reins of that company and restructured, those dudes had consequences for that. Their
Mm-hmm.
pay scales got reset. Hey, you guys were, with his prior management, you guys were kind of improperly retrained. I have the reins now. We're going to do a retraining, and you're going to start out, at the pay scale that, that I see fit for you. And
Mm-hmm.
fucking, I made them work back up to, where they were, and they turned out to be badass help. But that's not the only time that he had done that. I had a crew of
Mm-hmm.
30 fucking guys down the road, and he dropped a number, in front of a few guys in a fucking hallway, and then it spread like fucking wildfire, dude. And
Yeah.
the problem with dropping numbers is you have all these people that come in that haven't bled with you. You know what I mean? They haven't
Yeah.
went through all the fucking same battles as you. And then when they hear that fucking number, they have an entitlement to them to where they're like, well, why
Yes.
am I not getting that fucking number? You know what I mean?
100%. Yep.
And it's a slippery slope, dude. It's just something that you don't discuss. You know what I mean? It's something that you don't do. Everybody's at a different fucking stage. Now, what there has to be is a mediator. Like, you have to have a guy, because, I've been on the opposite end, dude. I had to come up hard, dude. I had to, when I was in the field when I was fucking 14 years old, I was the boss's son. You know what I mean? I didn't
Mm-hmm.
get fucking special treatment. I got, treated like shit. So
But harder. Yeah.
I had to work fucking harder just to prove myself. And I got
Right.
paid shittier. I was 14 years old. Back in the day, starting pay was $8 an hour. I got $5 an hour, dude, for like my first
Yeah.
2 years. I was smoking all of my predecessors, like prepping and stuff. I'd
Yeah.
actually quit my job, by the time I turned 18, quit my
Yeah.
job and go get another job somewhere else so I could get starting pay. So
Right.
I know all about fucking, mistreatment and, not getting the wages you deserve. But there's a fucking, there's a huge line to cross in terms of discussing that shit, because, you know, it's the politics behind it is that, that
Yeah.
everybody thinks they're entitled to fucking more, and not everybody is entitled to more, man.
Right. And that's where, like, so even when I'm hiring people, and it's been especially interesting these last couple of years because it's been like an employee market. They all get whatever they want because nobody can hire. Um, I have worked pretty hard to not fall into that trap and just give anybody whatever they're asking. If I get somebody who has, let's say they legitimately have 10 years of experience, it's legit. I do phone calls to old bosses and stuff. Yeah, he's a good guy. I wish I could have kept him, blah blah blah. If I bring that guy in at 25 an hour, like a starting pay for a foreman here, um, and he is not working well, let's say I just bring him in at 25 an hour and he's good, but my guy that's been here for 4 years is getting paid 25 an hour, and this brand new guy comes in at the same pay. Even just that creates the resentment, or like, this guy that fucking been here 1 week is making the same as me. It's like there's not the consideration of how good this person is, what this person comes to the table with. Like, the hourly pay becomes just a number. There's very little consideration for why they're where they're at, um, between my $25 and $30 an hour guy, there's not consideration of how quickly that person gets jobs done, how few mistakes there are at the end of a project. So this, with the hiring thing specifically, if I need to bring someone in like at 18 or $20 an hour just to get them in the door, um, what happens when my guy that has been an apprentice and is now painting pretty well is making 17 an hour and this new guy is getting 18? Like that is a clusterfuck. Like if this guy coming in at 18 is newer to painting, maybe 1 or 2 years experience, and coming in and making more than my guy at 2 or 3 years experience, then you have to like increase everybody's pay and start a new bottom. Like it creates so many issues. And I don't know, I've never been in a position where the guys don't talk about pay. I just have to deal with the consequences of it.
Yeah.
There's always consequences. Like it's not something that is just, oh yeah, everybody should be out and open with their pay and there's no problems. If there's any problems, it comes from the top. And I just don't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
There's lots of problems that come with it.
So I'm in a different position now. Obviously, I'm an owner, operator, whatever. I'm still in the field every day, so fucking, I am working in the day, 8 to 10 hours a day. I'm estimating jobs in the evening. I'm doing fucking paperwork until late at night, and
Mm-hmm.
anybody that is on my job like pretty much does not have like journeyman responsibilities. Like,
Right.
I just put on a guy, a new guy, and like the market's fucked right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like all of like your non-skilled jobs now are, there's no mandatory minimum right now for,
Mm-hmm.
they haven't increased the minimum wage, but
Yeah.
companies are starting to pay more. You know what I mean? Probably
Mm-hmm.
fearing the repercussions of not doing it, and
Yeah.
what the mobs are fucking doing right now and all the cancel
Mm-hmm.
culture bullshit. But
Yeah.
um dude, like if you cool, you look at the what it does economically. If you raise, you know if you raise wages for non-skilled jobs, McDonald's, fucking restaurants, whatever, the everything goes up. Your food goes up,
Mm-hmm.
everything
Yeah.
goes up, gas goes up. I mean, that's just whatever. So I mean, it shits on our industry, like without getting into fucking politics. Like it, we have spent, especially in the coatings industry, we've spent what, 25 fucking years pretty much watching wages stand still. And
Yeah.
I haven't been a business owner that whole time. I've been the dude in the trenches fighting to get more money. Like if you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
make a few dollars an hour more, than everybody else, then you fucking had to like stand out, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I did for most of my career, was just fucking be the dude that stands out. And
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty discouraging to look at all these recent wage increases for non-skilled jobs, and me ask like this new guy, what do you want? He tells me, and I'm like, fuck, and okay, cool, so I'm going to be paying this dude more than what I got fucking 10 years ago
Running
to
these big
fucking,
ass projects.
yeah, to run
Yeah.
logistics or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so nothing's fucking fair, dude.
Right.
But people that are looking at it from an employee point of view, to where like, I'm not a fucking huge corporate conglomerate, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the field still. Like, if somebody wants what I made, fucking, to run field logistics and do millions of dollars, like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be able to fucking do what I can do. Like, I don't look at it, it's biased. I don't really look at it
Yeah.
fairly, I guess. But um
Yeah. So when I hire people, the number one thing that I tell everybody is make yourself valuable. Like you are completely in control of making yourself valuable to this company. If you make yourself valuable and you want more money, there's a certain point where it's worth it to me to pay more. There's a certain point where it's not. If you don't make yourself valuable and you're just showing up, clocking in, clocking out, doing the minimum, um, you'll probably never get a raise. Like there's not, you need to get better. You need to make yourself valuable. The guys that come in here and like kick butt, um, those guys are I'll pay them what they want so they don't go away, you know?
Yeah.
So when I have these conversations with the guys, I have certain guys right now that could come to me and say, "Hey, man, I need to make $2 more an hour, or I have to go somewhere else. We've got a new baby on the way. We've got whatever, blah blah blah." Some guys I would give it to. Some guys I would definitely not.
Yeah.
That's like that. There's a cutoff point where it's not worth it anymore. And if you're making $20 an hour and you're doing the minimum, you're not going to get more. Like if you come to me, you're making $20 an hour, and you say, "Hey, I need to make $2 more an hour." I'm going to say, "Okay, these are the reasons why I'm not going to pay you 22 an hour. But this is what you could do if you want to get to that point. This is what I need to see out of you." Right, and give them a path so they have an opportunity. And I could say, "We'll revisit this in 30 days. If you can hold up your end of the deal, then we'll talk about it. If not, you're going to be at $20 an hour forever, until prices go up for painting and, there's more in the budget for it. But if you can't produce, there's just, I have a budget to work with. If I sell a job for $5,000, I have a certain budget for labor. If I just randomly give people raises because, well, this guy's going to leave if he doesn't get 22, and this guy's going to leave if he doesn't get 27, and I just randomly raise my payroll costs, and I'm not increasing my prices to a client, that I'm just losing money as a company.
Yeah.
That money literally is coming out of my pocket to keep these guys on. We had price increases over the last couple of years, which is why we raised our employee wages. Everybody got pretty hefty raises maybe 4 months ago, um, and so with bringing people in at higher wages to start, right now I think everybody is probably bringing in people at a higher wage to get started, just to get them in the door. You want 20 an hour, you have 4 years experience. Okay, come on, let's try it out. When I get people that want like 25 an hour, 28 an hour, 30 an hour, I tell those people up front, like, you want a high wage, it's going to be cutthroat. Like if you're not producing like week 1, week 2, I'm going to cut you.
Yeah. And
There's no wiggle room.
that's what I do. Like too, like, it's different when I did it managing other people's money. Like I had caps, like, you it depends too, like the companies you work for. There's been companies I've worked for where I ran lead where I didn't put in as much effort as I have for other companies because I honestly didn't give a fuck about their bottom dollar, because they weren't
Yep.
treating me the way I needed to be treated in order to fucking run their logistics. But the
Yep.
companies that I did care for, like I was trusted to set those pay rates. I was trusted to assess those guys, um and the way that the carrot was always dangled in front of me was like if I made marks, then I got bonuses and, I made out better. So my initiative was always to fucking have everybody performing at their top tier and reduce cost.
Yeah.
But, I had instances where I had this one guy, and you just know, dude, like when you've been in the field for fucking 25 plus years, you develop systems to where you can just tell by talking to somebody for 5 or 10 minutes how it's going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you say, fuck it, now dude, kick rocks, and you don't even give them a chance. Other times you think, very rarely you think, well, fuck, this guy might be good, I'm going to give him a shot. While
Yeah.
what, you know, primarily happens, I think, is you read through all the bullshit in that 5 minutes and you try and look past it just to give them a chance. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Well, I hired one guy and, asked him what he wanted. I gave him the number, and he comes into a crew of like 30 fucking guys and he hears other numbers. And, a few months in, he's like, dude, I got to have more fucking money. Like I I shorted myself. I fucking shorted myself. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
listen here, dude. Like I gave you the fucking number that you asked for, dude.
Right.
And I was like, let me go have a talk with the fucking boss, right? So I go to the boss. I'm like, I tell him, this guy is getting this. He wants this, and it was like a $5 fucking pay increase. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
fucking a lot
Yeah.
of money.
Yep.
$5 more you want?
Yeah. It's
And
like
the thing of it,
25%
yeah,
if you're 20.
I
Yep.
had spent 3 months training this dude. You know what I mean? into our systems. Now, this is what the guy, he was more into like log refinishing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The dude was a decent dude. You know what I mean? I liked him. He worked hard, but that whole pitch of 10 years was not 10 years in
Right.
architectural coatings. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he was trying to play that off. And I knew
Yeah.
that. I eventually had to sit him down and explain all of that shit to him. But,
Mm-hmm.
when I talked to the boss, I explained, that exact scenario. I've put 3 months into this dude. He's doing good. Um, I really don't want to fucking lose him, but I
Mm-hmm.
also know that he's not worth what he's asking for. And the boss is
Right.
like, well, I really don't want to fucking spend the time to train somebody else. You
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, you know, if we cut him loose or he quits or whatever, then we have to invest, 3 months into somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So he ended up getting what he asked for, but that's a rare exception. A lot of times I just tell people to fucking go fuck themselves or whatever. Like
Right.
most of the people that ask for more are not worth more. You know what I mean? Like there's never a time in my life I've ever fucking told a boss I want more money or I need more money, dude. Like I've always busted my ass to where that in my head I'm thinking I want them to want to fucking pay me more. I want them to think that they don't want to fucking lose me, and I will never fucking ask for a raise. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
fucking morals and shit, and I have a
Yep.
standard and I have pride, and sometimes that shit works out, sometimes it doesn't, and people
Yeah.
that have less experience than I've worked for a lot of people that have less experience than I do, and they don't know how to fucking they don't know what they have or
Right.
what they're missing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, like there's a lot of situations to where just everything points to it not being a good thing. Here's
Right.
another fucking example. Like years ago, I went to work for a union shop, and if I remember correctly, I can't remember what prevailing was, but it was more than what the union shop was paying out. I think pay was like 28.50 or some shit, and then I took a pay reduction down to like 24.62 and got full medical, health, dental, all that shit for my family, and then I would have been set up to pay dues and whatnot. So not
Yeah.
only would the union take a certain amount out of what your prevailing wage would be, but then you also have to pay dues. But with when you're working for a union shop, you have pay scales. You have a first year apprentice scale and fucking different tiers of journeyman scales and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you end up on a working government jobs, prevailing wage jobs for a non-union shop, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if anyone knows this, but if you're ever in that situation, there you are not allowed to set an apprentice scale. You have to pay a day one apprentice the same wage that you pay your fucking dude that has 30 years of experience that's running that job. Now,
Yeah.
how is that fucking fair? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, and that was like, that was the way I rooted out of, getting the substandard pay scales in Missouri was working for companies and helping them restructure and then going after government work and getting that prevailing wage pay.
Yeah.
That was how I countered the shitty pay when I was an employee. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Help them gun for fucking, higher paying jobs, like higher profile jobs and shit, and run that shit and manage it and make fucking money. Like, don't just be sitting there with a caulking gun fucking bitching about how you don't make enough fucking money, dude. That's not how you
Yep.
fucking advance in life. But
Yeah, it's crazy. That's like my rock stars are guys that are really self motivated and they are making my life easier, like
yeah,
every step of the way. Right. And they're not doing anything extraordinary. They're just doing their job really well. It's like they're paying attention to details. They're paying attention to like the flow of a project and a deadline and materials and equipment. And they're just kind of keeping their eye on everything. They're not working fucking 12 hours a day or anything like that. They're working their normal 8, but their 8 is so much more productive than someone else's 8.
yeah,
I mean, there's just such a big difference. And then like that should be automatic. It's like the more you can produce, the more the company can pay. Even if it's not in form of an hourly rate, it's bonuses, you know?
Yeah.
Like if we can get this job done early and we can get a bonus, like that's a win-win for everybody, And but yeah, look, all companies across the board don't like employees sharing their wages. There's these types of issues are not just paint related. It's not just we're skilled labor, that's why it's a problem, or that's why it's not a problem. This is across the board at any company in the world, any corporations, any tech companies. Like it's the same exact thing across the board. If you have somebody at a tech company making 150,000 a year doing some kind of design job or coding job, and then you have someone else doing a similar job for 130,000 a year. And that guy at 130,000 would be like, why the fuck does this guy get 20,000 more than me? I do more than him, right? But that guy at 150 is probably managing 3 people under him or 5 people or checking on their code or whatever, and it's just not factored in. That's at all levels. Like you, doctors, lawyers, anybody, you name it. Um, there are the complaints when you find out what someone else makes.
Yeah.
It's like it creates just a bad scenario, like a bad culture. If pay scales vary, and they have to vary. Like if you're somebody who pays $1 amount at every single position, like that's not fair to the guy that works really hard but is in that range. If I paid, let's say, $27 an hour is my foreman pay, and that's it, just 27 an hour, it's fair across the board, right? Well, then my guy that is a $30 an hour kind of guy is either going to lower his work standards to 27 an hour or go find another job, someone that'll pay him what he's actually worth.
Yeah.
And if the guy that should be at 25 is getting 27, he may or may not step up. He might not, and he still does $25 an hour work, but he gets his $2 extra because I want to be fair across the board.
Yeah. And then you've got guys that company bounce too. So I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in the situation to where, I spent like 6 years working my way up through a company and finally got the lead position. And then you have just, those fucking journeyman painters that fucking bounce companies that show up and want $1 less than what you're fucking making or something. And
Mm-hmm.
dude, like, I put fucking 6 years into this, fuck
Yep.
off. But,
Yeah.
the counter to that is like, before I got in the position, I know my boss fucking hired guys for more than what he fucking was paying me, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody could touch what we did. But those are like the secret little things that fucking bosses would do just to get fucking help and yada
Right.
yada. And it's a shitty deal on the employee side, but
Mm-hmm.
fucking, I'm not a 30-40 man fucking crew. Like, I don't have
Yeah.
to play those fucking games. Like, if somebody wants a number and they show up and they're not worth that number, then I'm not going to reduce their pay. I'm going to tell them to fucking kick rocks.
Right. Yeah, and I've had those conversations. I have reduced pay, or I've offered reduced pay. I've had guys come on, and it's like they want 25 an hour, and I have a questionnaire that I use to figure out if somebody has enough experience. And it's like roller cover nap size, like
Yeah.
which grit sandpaper to use on different substrates, like shit like that, to where if you have been painting that long, you should know all these answers.
Yeah.
I get so many fucking guys that are like, oh yeah, I do tons of spraying. And so I have spray questions, right? It's like, okay, on cabinets, what size tip would you use? On if you're spraying stucco on exterior, what size tip would you use on that? Ceilings, walls inside, doors inside. And I've had so many guys say, oh, I don't really know. I usually don't set up the sprayer. Someone else will
Yeah.
get it set up and then I just spray. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah, dude, no, people can't even answer simple questions. Like, I had a dude call fucking this week, and I could just tell he was like either drunk or was taking pills or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's got 10 years experience, blah blah blah, this and that. I'm like, okay, cool, what products are you familiar with using?
Right.
And he's like, what do you mean products? I was like, fucking
Yeah.
dude, paint. Like, what paint are you familiar with? And he's like, well, You mean like latex paint? And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude, are you fucking kidding me?
Yep.
And the only product that he was able to drop was Property Solutions, but
Oh, not a good sign.
no, no,
Yeah, it's the same thing. I like, um, so I have plenty of guys that shit, like, man, they don't pay attention to the products. They don't pay attention to like if I said, hey, we had a job last week. It was for like an office building. They just wanted us to come in and paint a couple walls. They were moving locations, and had one of my guys go to, um, they said they had a couple gallons of paint already for the color they wanted. And, I was like, all right, well, to go there, I was having this one guy get two guys set up there, and then he was going to go back to his other project. I didn't have another foreman to be on this job site. So I had one of my foremen go to this job site, get the guys set up, and then go back to his place. They're close to each other. So, um, I was like, okay, after you do a walkthrough, give me a call. We'll talk about it. So he walks through, calls me. I'm like, okay, what's the paint? What's the product that they're using? Just in case we need to get more, I just need to know if it's something like Benjamin Moore, we have to go to Ganal Lumber, which is a pain in the ass. If it's Sherwin-Williams or Dunn Edwards, easy, or Bear at Home Depot is easy. Um, and he's like, Sherwin-Williams. I'm like, okay, what's the product though? Like, some of their shit has been hard to get lately. And he's like, it's Sherwin-Williams. I'm like, no, like, what's the product? Sherwin-Williams
yeah,
is the brand, but which product is it, right? Like, is it Super Paint? Is it Promar 200? Is it this? Is it that? It's semi-gloss. I'm like, oh my
yeah. It's
gosh, dude.
boring,
Like,
dude. Like,
shit.
I can't even get people to answer like basic fucking special ed questions. Like, I have a whole line of advanced questions that I don't even get to, and it's just
No,
fucking
yeah.
boring. It's fucking boring. Like, what's the when shooting, let's say when shooting open truss ceilings, what is the difference in tip size between acrylic and oil based drywall? Go.
What do they say?
No, I'm asking you. I'm calling you out.
Between dry fall, we don't
Yeah.
ever spray dry fall. For
Okay.
ceilings, we would do like 517, but we're doing repaints.
Okay. What's the
So
fastest
515 or
evaporating? What's
517.
the fastest evaporating solvent?
Is it acetone?
Eh, That's the most commonly known fastest evaporating solvent. The actual fastest evaporating solvent is methylene chloride, and it evaporates at a rate of 0.01 tenths of a second faster than acetone.
I don't think I've ever even used that. What would you use that on?
Just when people just when you want people to lose, you know.
Yeah.
But I never get to those questions. People are like, "Oh, Property Solutions," like fucking.
So mine go through like nap size, sandpaper size, tip size, and then I've got like a couple of them. Like if you're gonna paint a 12 by 12 bedroom, how long would it take you? You know, um, a lot of them don't ask if it's ceilings, walls, baseboards, closets, doors, anything. They just
Yeah,
throw out a number, right? It's like probably like 3 or 4 hours. I'm like, all right, what would you get done in 3 or 4 hours? The whole thing. It's like, all
yeah,
right. 2,000 square foot exterior. If you and two other guys were on the project, how long do you think it would take you? A 2,000 square foot house. Um, and then I go into, like if you were going to prime some metal wrought iron, what kind of primer would you use? If you're going to prime some raw wood, what kind of primer would you use? And these are like, you could have different answers, but I just
yeah,
want to know if this person's like thinking through,
yeah,
if they're like considering, is it exterior or interior? What's the product that's on it now? Right. Like if they
yeah.
ask those questions, like, all right, this person's like thinking in the right
Do
direction.
you actually come across people that can answer questions though these days? Because I don't.
Almost never,
Yeah,
almost never. So I can
and
get basic questions answered. And
but
this is
think
another
about
thing.
that
This
though.
is
These are the
Mhm.
people that want to know everybody's fucking wages that can't
Right.
answer fucking questions.
Yeah. Right. And so like these questions were used previously to get through the bullshit. If
Yeah,
somebody came in 2 years ago and they wanted $25 an hour, it's like, okay, I mean, I have the budget for that. We have room to pay people at that rate. But let's, I have a little questionnaire for you to fill out. Let's just go through this. And I'll just give it to them, let them fill it out. It's like 3 pages. They'll hand it back to me, and they'll usually say, "I didn't know a few of the things there, whatever." And I'll go through it, and it's like, fuck, this is
Yeah,
crazy.
dude.
Like
I
on an
hired.
interior door, you would use 60 grit sandpaper. I'm like,
Yeah,
don't you think that would be a little rough?
I hired one guy one time, and it was like, dude, I knew he was like drunk or fucking had done too many drugs or was potentially on drugs. And I was like all up in his shit, like just trying to study him. And I'm like, dude, you're not a fucking painter, dude. Like you're probably gonna have to fucking get out of here, dude. I don't, like this
Yeah.
shit isn't gonna work out. And I was like, I was starting to get pissed and just tell him to get out of here. And I was like, dude, he's like, dude, I swear I've painted in the past and stuff. I'm like, okay, and what you've done commercial. And he's like, yeah, I've done commercial. I'm like, what kind of commercial? He's like, I used to paint schools and blah blah. I'm like, all right, well, what's the fucking uh what's the sweat in time and what product does fucking tile clad reduce with? And he's like, he's like reducer 54, and I think it's got a 30-minute sweat in. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like that totally came out of left field. So I've been tricked and shit before, but because he got it right,
But I've had some guys where they don't know the answers to those questions because they don't pay attention,
Yeah,
you know? And so if I go through that and it's like, you want 25 an hour, we go through this questionnaire and you don't know shit about anything, right? Maybe you know some of the basic ones, but you don't know tip sizes. You don't know like most common texture patterns. You don't know any of that stuff. And I'll say, look, I can't give you 25 an hour. Like if I put you on my team at 25 an hour and my other guys see that you make 25 an hour and you can't even answer these basic questions, like I can't do that. But if you're worth 25 an hour, look, I'll start you at 20. I'll give you a try. If you want to do that, I mean, we can talk again in 2 weeks and raise it up to 25 an hour if that's what you're worth. But based on this questionnaire, like you don't know basic questions. Like you
yeah,
don't know these things.
dude. It's
Maybe you're telling the truth,
it's so much
but I don't know.
easier in production doing that shit because like at any given day, you've got a floor that's being fucking primed. You've got a floor that's
Right.
fucking being prepped. You got a floor that's being enameled. You've got a floor that's being bagged. The jams are being bagged and fucking walls are being sprayed and back rolled. And like, you
Yeah.
can just take guys and be like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're not full of
Right.
shit. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. It's so much harder to, you know like you have the whole skill set that you acquire, like almost like a trade craft, in terms of figuring out the psychology behind people. And like,
Yeah.
it's almost like you start to read people in terms of being able to tell if they're lying or not. It's fucking
Yeah.
weird. But I hate doing it in fucking repaints, and I hate doing it in residential, and it's
Yeah.
just not fucking fun, dude, because like everybody's full of shit, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the majority for sure. Um, I'm working on like building out some spaces in my shop now. Now we have a bigger shop than we've had for the last 8 years, 9 years. Um, so I'm working on building out some spaces to do some training here. And I think even if the person has lots of experience, it'd be nice to run them through 1 or 2 days in the shop before they get started on site, because we have to do safety training and all that shit,
Yeah.
like all the basic safety training before we get them on site. Um,
Do you make everyone take the OSHA 10?
no, they don't
No.
have to.
Yeah.
So we do like ladder safety training every quarter. We do heat and illness prevention training. We do like all the basic stuff to where um, we need to like be covered, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't have, so we have to do training, like at least a tailgate meeting. I think twice a month is
Yeah.
for our state law, right? Um, but the main things are like heat and illness. People get sick or pass out on a job site. What do you do? How do you prevent it? And then ladder safety. Ladder safety is the big one, and it's the same shit every time. But we get new guys in, that
Yeah.
don't know what to do with the ladders or how to
Yeah.
stand on it safely or whatever.
4-to-1 ratio on extension,
Yeah,
and don't stand
yeah,
past the second to last step on a fucking step ladder,
yeah.
which has always got me wondering, why is there 2-foot ladders?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
would be a 1 foot ladder, right? But you
yeah.
can't even step on that step, right? That
Technically,
top
no.
one. Yeah,
You can only step on the one step that's not even 1 foot off the ground.
yeah, yeah. ten
Technically,
inch step ladder. Um, yeah. So ideally, it's some investment, right? Like if I'm going to pay someone $20 an hour for training, and I get them in for 2 days, like it's going to cost me $500 just to put them through a little 2 day training. Um, and so that can help me either weed them out really quickly and I only lose $500, um, or help me get them up to speed really quickly. Like this is the stuff that's important to me. This is stuff that's not. Blah blah blah, whatever. And then have a good start. Have them not have a really slow start on a new project with a new team and new company and all that.
yeah,
Um, but we're gonna do like cabinet refinish training, because I only have a couple guys that can do nice cabinet work. Everyone else is like can help do the prep or the masking for it, but not do the actual finish work. So that's a little bit of a problem. That limits us in how many cabinet projects we can take on at a time. But yeah, I the pay scale has always been an issue, and sharing pay has always been an issue. And I think the companies that um, think that you should just share pay with everyone and there should be no secrets when it comes to that stuff. Um, Maybe they haven't been in business long enough to see the problems with it. Maybe they don't have enough manpower to
yeah.
see how it causes like poison in your company. Um, but
In a
I mean, I can't
perfect
think of
world,
any.
in a
Yeah.
perfect world, you would just be what either a dude running logistics or a business owner of a bunch of fucking just monsters that fucking all competed with each other, were all the fucking same, could all perform exactly the same, and would all fucking smoke everybody below them. But unfortunately, there's only a select few of those guys. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And fucking, I've been the guy, 100 fucking times that isn't getting paid what I fucking deserve. That's why I went into business for myself. In terms of what I pay out, like in terms of my local averages, like I don't want to pay people what they're not fucking worth. So what do? Uh, I've got probably 4 or 5 years into, 4 years into apprenticing my brother, another couple years into, just running him into, an entry level fucking journeymanship. And he's probably
Hmm.
got, from, working for some of the people he's worked for, he's probably got a total of 10 years experience.
Yeah.
Um, and the way that I'm going to do it is I know what my local averages are. My brother's going to make, maybe $3 or $4 an hour above, what some of the upper paid guys are making, and I'm going to give them bonuses.
Hmm.
And then anybody that we hire that's trying to come in, you know, for one, you're going to be very not likely to fucking get hired, you know.
Yeah.
But if I give you a shot, like I'm going to give you the exact number that you're asking for, and if I go a bit of time, which could be upwards or as little as one fucking day, and I feel that you're not worth that, you're just going to leave. I'm not going to
Yeah.
ask to drop your pay. I'm just going to ask you to fucking leave.
Yeah.
I just put on this new guy. I don't want to pay him what I'm going to pay him, but ironically, like he says he's got 2 years of experience. I'm going to get it out of him that that's not true, but
Yeah.
um he fucking seems like he wants to work. So
Hmm.
um if you want to fucking work, your pay scale's a little fucking high for what he's fucking asking for. I could probably hire somebody that has experience or whatever,
Yeah.
and whatnot.
But
But
there's a difference in attitude too.
yeah,
I mean, like there's some guys that are go getters in my company that are lower on the pay scale, lower on the experience scale, but they're really valuable to me. And it's like if they need to make more money, I want to figure out a way to get them trained up so it can be worth it to me.
yeah,
If like one of these guys came to me, I don't think anybody's below 17 an hour right now, but if one of these guys came to me and said, "Hey, I need what do I got to do to get to 20 or 19 or
Yeah.
whatever?
He seems
I
more
would
like the
say,
kind of guy that has done a little bit of everything, and he's never
mm,
really been, happy or been around somewhere long enough to actually, you know what I mean,
yeah, get really good
like get
at
good at
something.
any fucking thing. But
Yeah.
or I don't know though, but you never know fucking how shit's gonna pan out.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those guys. How do you feel about Whites? He's,
Painter whites.
yeah, hey, I've got 2 years experience, and then he shows up in camo pants.
Yeah.
If I have a guy that says, which is fine, 2 years experience, my guess is maybe, for uh, a few months you worked for a paint company is my guess. Somebody tells
Right.
me fucking 20 years, I figure maybe two. Someone tells
Right.
me 10 years, I figure, the 10-year guys are usually like the guys that are like 3 or 4 years maybe, but
Right. Yeah.
and improperly trained. But everybody's
Yeah.
trying to, the guys that bounce between companies are the ones that are trying to,
Yeah.
get another dollar somewhere else. And hey, I
Yeah.
witnessed these guys doing this, so I'm going to say I can do that and go try and do it somewhere else without ever having actually done it. But
Yep.
what's the politics with you or your area in general? Because for one, I was always taught that if someone shows up in blue jeans and they say they're a painter, don't fucking hire them. If you don't believe me, watch. We're gonna hire some blue jean painters. That's like
Yeah.
almost word for word what my old boss said. And I probably
Yeah.
spent a lifetime putting that theory to the test, and it
Hmm.
has always rang true.
Yeah.
Always rang true. Always.
I so for me, I want whites all the time.
Yeah.
I so one main thing is as a company, if we've got 20 painters out there, 4 or 5 on a project or 10 on a project, if it's a big project, I want everybody to look good, everybody to be
Yeah.
matching. Like I see so many posts like all over Facebook and shit like that where it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's such an antiquated point of view and blah, blah, blah. And I fucking wear jeans every day. I paint better than anybody I see in whites,
Yeah.
blah, 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 whatever. Right.
That's what everybody says that ends up
Yeah.
crying crocodile
That
tears on
wears
a
blue jeans. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And for me personally, like it wouldn't matter personally to me because I don't think the color of your pants dictates whether you're a good painter or not.
No.
But I bet, if you brought in 100 painters, just, hey, come in, we're doing a survey. I'll give you $100 for the day. Come in your work clothes. We might do some painting.
Yeah.
I bet if you had those 100 painters and 60 of them wore painter pants and 40 wore blue jeans, I bet the 60 with the painter pants are going to be better on average than the blue jean painters.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and this isn't to shit on anybody that's sitting
Right.
there right now listening to this podcast looking like a fucking pigeon trainer. We're not shitting on you. We love you. But no, this is like a culture that I grew up in.
Yeah,
And
same for me.
uh cool, the old school guys would wear fucking, they would wear whites and button up t-shirts and a fucking
Right.
red bow tie and black polished shoes, and
Yeah.
it kind of reverts to the union thing, and then
Mm-hmm.
the union eventually turns out to be a fucking suit and tie mafia, and it's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's a fucking culture, dude.
Yeah.
You want to wear black in the sun and bake, that's
Right.
your fucking choice, whatever. But
Yep.
um it was always used as like, it's like a first impression kind of thing. Like for us, like,
Yes.
if somebody's calling you, you talk to them on the phone, dude. And back in the day, 15 years ago, when there was actually like you know a lot of fucking painters in this area, like
Yep.
you could talk to someone and you could tell that they were going to show up in whites. You just knew it.
Yeah. Right.
You
Right.
could tell. You're fixing to hire a new guy. You talk to him for
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes on the phone. You knew if they were showing up in whites without asking them, but you never brought it up because it was a fucking
It
test,
was just
right?
known.
It
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
fucking test. And that is
Yeah.
That's like strike 2 if you show up in fucking blue jeans, dude. Strike 1, strike 2, right off the fucking bat. This motherfucker has one more fucking chance, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
I had one of my guys for this night job showed up in black pants, and I bought all my guys a bunch of pants like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, right at the beginning of the year, and uh, and I told them like, because most of the guys wear white pants all the time, no matter what. And I've got a couple guys that every now and then will wear some black pants or some camo pants or whatever. And it's not that big of a deal to me to where it's like, hey, you do it every once in a while. Like, fine. I don't like it. I'm okay if you do it every once in a while. Just don't get in the habit of it. Right. And so put my money where my mouth is, bought everybody a bunch of new pants. And one of my guys showed up at this night job. I guess it must have been Monday night. And he's got black pants on. And I'm like, dude, like, this is a restaurant project. Like, come on, we got to look professional. I'm like, you look like a guy from Home Depot, you know, and all the guys start laughing at him, right? But it's true. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if all my guys there, you know, 5 guys that night are all, this guy's in jeans, this guy's in black pants. I got one in painter pants. I got, like, it looks sloppy. It looks like really disorganized.
It, you know,
And it's not a big deal to put painter pants on. They got extra pockets. Like, they're actually pretty useful. But I just,
I
it
didn't
looks like Home
invent the
Depot
theory,
guys.
dude. I was just told about it, and you know, it was like if like this new guy, he shows up in fucking camo pants, and you have to always, it's like people bragging about their dick, right? You know, if somebody says they have an 8-inch dick, you know, it's probably 4 inches long. If somebody fucking, you know, says that they have, you know, 2 years experience, I'm guessing he probably worked on a job for a few months. So
Yeah.
I did not expect him to show up in whites. I knew he wasn't going to, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can't hold that against him. Now, if you're fucking 4, 5, 6 years in, dude, and you are showing up to new painting jobs in blue jeans, I'm fucking telling you, dude, unless you're showing up for, now this is very likely too, like the fucking industry right now is devalued. There's a lot of inexperience out there. There's a lot of companies of business owners that don't have experience. So I could
Mhm.
100% imagine that the culture is different right now, but
Yeah.
you reverse back to, you know, 10, you know, years ago, fucking, you know, dude, you did not it's like you don't show up on a fucking new job unless you're in fucking whites. Like you,
Yeah.
a lot of guys wouldn't hire you. A lot of guys
No.
would give you a
They'd send
hard
you
time.
home.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of,
Send you home.
yeah,
Hey, come back tomorrow prepared.
they might give you a couple dollars an hour less because they think you're full of shit or blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
it always rings true anyway that even when you are in a position of running shit, that they just never fucking worked out, dude. They're always full of shit or fucking, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it is what it fucking is. I don't care what people think, and I'm not trying to talk down on to the dude right now that's
Yeah.
fucking, you know, drinking his coffee, fucking crying crocodile tears that he's in a fucking pair of blue jeans with paint all over him. And, you know, but I'm sorry. It's just, it's how we came up, man. It's just the way that it is. And
Yep.
I'd be interested to know like people's take on it. But, you know, it's usually the people that respond to that shit are usually the guys that are butt hurting like, hey,
Yeah.
fucking,
Yeah.
I'll do
I'll
this and
paint
that.
circles around anybody in
Yeah.
painter's pants. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think like, you know, for me, technically, it doesn't have to be
There's a lot of
whites. Like
shitty
I could,
painters that wear whites too, though. So
there for sure are. Definitely. Sometimes they try to fool you wearing the painter costume.
yeah. Hey, dude,
Um,
I showed up on a job one time where I was like, oh, dude, I want to, you know, I want to look nice, and I, you know, I showed up in a clean pair of whites, new T-shirt, Sherwin Williams shirt, new fucking Dickies,
yeah.
and I show up on the job, and the dude thought I was full of shit because I didn't have paint on my clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they're too clean.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's some
Yeah.
advice too. Don't be too
Right.
clean.
Yeah. I always hated wearing brand new whites
Do the
because it
Idaho
looks like you
thing to
don't
where
do
you
anything.
dip your finger in a bucket and put a few spots of paint on you because you're not really
Yeah.
painting stuff.
That's a good cover. Um, yeah. Look, I could see a place like for a company. So for me personally, I like the look of whites on painters. That's to me that looks good. It shows well, like it's a
Yeah.
good representation of an orderly company. Professionally, I like organized looking, right? I want everybody to look kind of uniform. Um, and then personally, I like the look of whites. So that's why
Yeah.
we do whites. If personally it didn't matter to me, and like I could see everybody doing all khaki pants. Like if nobody wants to wear whites,
Don't
everyone
do
wants some
I
color,
don't
fine,
do
all
that. I
khaki.
hate that, dude. I got a buddy.
But to me, it's the uniform. It's the everybody looking similar.
I got a
Yeah.
buddy that fucking, that was working for a company that does that. They wear, what is it? Blue t-shirts, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
then khaki pants, and they
Mm-hmm.
look like a fucking cult, dude. They don't look like
Really?
painters. They just look like a cult, man. Don't change the game so much. Cool. If you change the t-shirt, you want to be different and like wear a blue shirt or a fucking green
Yeah.
shirt or I got used to wearing these because we're always on, government jobs, so it was our
It's
way.
good safety
Yeah,
color.
it
Yeah.
was our
Yeah.
way out of not having to wear safety vests.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but don't do the khakis and be a cult. Don't be in a cult.
I haven't tried any of these, but I think to me the uniform is really important, professionally speaking. So if I have my business hat on, I just want uniforms. I want you to know that if there's 50 people on a job site, those five over there are JQ paint guys, right? Like there's those five over there. Hey, where's a painter? Find the guy that looks like the other four.
Yeah,
That's a painter. Um, so business wise, I just want to have a good company representation.
yeah,
Um, and then it's just my personal taste is whites. I just think that the reason it works really well is because it's been that way for a fucking 100 years.
yeah.
It's like it still looks good. It doesn't look dated. It doesn't look
No, and when
like
you got to think too, when that shit was invented, when it was decided that it would, there was going to be uniform, the trade was not every Tom, Dick, and Harry buying a fucking pretty brush, pretending
right.
that he's a fucking painter. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
Everybody wore fucking whites and whatnot because the most common color back in the day was white. So when
And
you
you
got
paint it
paint
right.
all over you, it hit it.
Yeah.
White reflects sunlight, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Painters are
Stays cooler.
outside in the sun all the
Yep.
time, you know what I mean? So there
Hmm.
was a uniform, designed. There was facts that were
It was
based behind
purpose.
the reason. Yes, there
Yeah.
was a fucking
Yeah.
purpose.
Hmm.
Part of that
I
purpose was never meant to look like a fucking pigeon trainer, dude, in your blue jeans.
yeah. I had there was someone. I mean, I've seen these posts for like fucking. I don't know. I've been on the Facebook thing for like maybe 6 to 8 months. Not that long. And I've seen a ton of these, painters whites things come up. And I responded to one early on, and I put together this whole fucking long fake story of why painters wear whites. I was like, well, in
Yeah.
1912, Jim Rogers, the inventor of the painter whites, just went all this bullshit. Um, but there's meaning behind it. There's a reason why it was white. There's a purpose behind it. It
Yeah.
still looks good. It looks really professional. Like it's a good look and it's a professional look. And nobody mistakes like what do those trades do? What do those guys do? It's
Yeah.
like the electricians, the plumbers, the painters, like the painters are it just goes hand in hand still. And like unless you're trying to be like even if you're trying to be different, it's going to be hard to separate yourself.
Yeah.
Like the whites still look different.
I'd worked on some government jobs back in the day where it was a requirement for the drywallers and the painters to be in
Mm.
uniform.
Yeah.
But anyway, the funniest part about talking about whites and blue jeans is there's some people that are going to be listening to this that are going to fucking act like we're talking about abortion.
Yeah. Outlaw that. Yeah. It is pretty funny. I'll be curious to see the feedback, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. It doesn't matter to me
Yeah.
what
It doesn't
anyone else
either.
thinks. Really,
There's
like that's
rules.
yeah.
Thou
I
shall
get
not
to
fucking wear blue jeans.
yeah. That's rule number one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Look, if I have somebody come in for an interview and they're not like if they come in work clothes and it's not painter pants, it's jeans, I'll ask him like, how come you don't wear painter pants? You know, like how come you don't
Oh,
wear
dude,
them?
it's the first thing you get to hit somebody on.
Yeah.
If somebody that has more than 2 years experience doesn't show up in whites, you get that's when you just dig, you fucking dig into them. You skip all the simple questions, dude, and
Yeah.
you jump right to the fucking hard questions because you're mad.
It is funny if you are getting a bad vibe or a bad whatever from someone and you go straight into the hard questions, like
Yeah,
you're making them feel dumb,
yeah,
like you can hit them pretty easily and pretty hard without being offensive or
yeah.
anything.
It's not even hard, dude. It's not even
No,
fucking hard, dude.
that's good. All right. So for our next part of this, we are going to dig in. We're just going to do some research across the country, right? I mean, we have a lot of people we can reach out to see what average pay rates are. And Johnny, the Happy Painter, had reached out to us about this, about digging into like pay scales across the country, like why they are where they are. And the going on discussing your pay with other painters or within your company, that was kind of a side thing for me that just it's something that I don't think many people consider. You know, the people that are like, oh, it should be completely open. I think to an extent, like the ranges should be open. Everybody should know what they can aspire to. Everybody should know like what's possible for them in their role. But when it comes to exact wages for every single employee, that's a bad idea. I mean, and that's across the board. That's not just me saying it. Like I know better than everyone. That's every single company in the world
Yeah,
does not like employees to share wages. Most people have a policy against it,
yeah,
right? And you can't enforce it outside of the workplace, but probably every company, every corporation has some policy against sharing your wages in the workspace
yeah,
because it causes problems.
yeah. I think if yeah, this will be part one. Which I think I'm going to title it. We will title it what wages and title it fucking wage politics or something. But if
Yeah.
you want to work for a company that is full of drama and full of a bunch of fucking diaper wearing pussies, then you go to work somewhere where everybody discusses their fucking wages and everybody's butthurt about what somebody else fucking makes.
It'll be
And
like a
if you want to
socialist painting company.
succeed in this trade and you're coming up, then never ask for a fucking raise and make sure you're the fucking guy that has never had to ask for one but always gets it.
Yeah. And I think look, there's some bosses that don't know how to run a company, right?
Yeah.
Some bosses don't know when it's time to give a raise, don't know when they shouldn't. So for me, fine, ask for one, but like work your ass off and earn one. You know, make yourself undeniable. Like make yourself really valuable to the company. That's the way you're going to get more money. It's a pretty simple concept, you know, like if you can help make more money, get jobs done in a faster timeline, take on a little more responsibility, like do a little extra on the job site, organize things a little better than other job sites are being done. Like there's a million different ways to make things easier on whoever your manager is. Million different ways. And you're going to work yourself into a position where you're really valuable to the company now. You know, like they definitely don't want to lose you if you're the kind of person that is making things more efficient, smoother job sites, smoother times with the client. Like you can make yourself really valuable so easily.
Did I ever tell you this story? We're doing this huge fucking megalithic project. I can't remember. It was like 200 and fucking 37 rooms, which it was student housing.
Shit.
So you're talking 4 bedroom, 4 bath, closets in every
Jeez.
room. But I had hired this guy, and the dude fucking talked a lot. And what a lot of the people that before I quit this job and I walked out of it, like a lot of the people that worked there didn't understand is that I had probably, what was it? I had like 7 key guys, and we those 7 guys, we were capable of putting out over 1,000 gallons a day, on any given day. But when it comes to like that job eventually ended up, and I tried to explain to my boss this, like I grew this company, slowly over 4 years. And then boom, right at the end, he just wanted to jack it to 30 guys. And I'm like, dude, if we do that, it's gonna be the fucking end. Like, you cannot bring in that many fucking people
Yeah.
and it not fucking fall apart, because every fucking person in there's gonna be a snake in the fucking grass, dude. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna be in there crying about who makes what and all this
Mm-hmm.
fucking drama. And it was a drama fucking nightmare, dude. But we ran huge jobs, dude, with just those 7 guys. And then at the end of this, he wanted to ramp it up to fucking 30.
Yeah.
And it fucking ruined it. But um, I had one guy that I had hired, and I was having to do the thing like, you know, fucking having 30 guys. Like, there was probably fucking 29 of them that I could have fucking fired and not gave a single fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this dude that talked a lot, and I did that. Like, normally I would have fired him, but I did the thing to where I tried to be friendly, just because the boss wants all these fucking dudes on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me a story about how he's like, dude, my he's like the residential version of you, fucking all this shit. And like, he gets down and all this stuff. And, he needs a job and all this stuff. I ended up talking to the dude, and this was over a period of like 3 weeks where I was making contact with this guy, talking to him. I could tell he's
Mm-hmm.
a painter, but he was wanting like a high fucking wage, dude,
Yeah.
like near what I was making. And I
Mm-hmm.
explained that to him, like, I don't normally hire guys. I have my lead guy, I'm a director of field operations. I have a fucking field supervisor. I have another guy that's going to be a potential field supervisor. And like, to bring somebody in that's above those fucking guys, would
Yeah.
technically be a bad thing for me, dude. So like,
Right.
if I were to give you a chance, dude, like, you would have to fucking be able to get down. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
fucking get down,
Yeah.
period, dude. And because that's going to piss my other 2 fucking guys off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he just kept trying to sell it, and I wasn't buying it. You know what I mean? So I just let it set, and I didn't bring him in. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he had fucking called me one day, and he's like, he pissed me off. He's like, dude, what's fucking going on with this? I'm like, dude, like I said, man, we fucking I'm not feeling the whole fucking starting pay thing, dude. I don't think that you're gonna
Yeah.
be at our fucking level, from what I can
Mm-hmm.
tell. And he's like, dude, I will fucking smoke every one you fucking got. Right?
Yeah.
That's what he said. I was like, all right, motherfucker. I was like, you be here tomorrow at 7, and you are going to race my fucking apprentice. And if you
Yeah.
can't beat my apprentice, you cannot beat me, and you have to fucking leave, and you don't work here.
Yeah.
And I just fucking, dude, the dude showed up. I had in these condos, like I said, it's like 20 or 236 units or whatever the fuck it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the building at multiple stages. There were floors that were done. There were floors that were in the process of being primed. There were floors that were in the process of being trimmed out, floors in the process of being walled out.
Yeah.
And I brought them because it got brought up. He was talking about masking. He said he'd
Mm-hmm.
smoke any one of my guys with a masker.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a 4-year apprentice, dude, that I've been just hammering, with a fucking hand masker, dude. Every fucking day, bag jams, bag jams, bag jams. You know what I mean? That's what we'd fucking do. I would work alongside the guys with everything, and that's the way I built things. Was like, each guy had a specific skill that I overworked, and then I
Yeah.
would slowly give them other skills.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude was no fucking joke, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, a 4-year apprentice.
Yeah.
And with some of these guys, like, there may be a guy with a roller that could smoke any fucking 20-year veteran. I may have a guy with a
Yeah.
masker that could smoke any 20-year veteran. A guy with a brush that could smoke any 20-year veteran. You know what I mean? And the list goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And I lined these dudes up. I think I gave them each 2 units. I can't remember how many frames were in each unit. It was like 26 or 28 door jams or whatever. So I gave them both 2 units. And I told the dude the deal. Like, if you can't beat my apprentice, you're fucking gone, dude.
Yeah.
You can't beat him, you can't beat me. I fucking beat this dude every day. And
Yeah.
I pulled Josh over to the side because then I realized, like, oh fuck, like I was like nervous, like, fuck, what if he lost? I
Yeah.
pulled the dude over to the side. I was like, dude, you better not fucking lose. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
dude, my guy fucking smoked his ass. He was done in his second unit before the dude was even 3/4 of the way in the first. And the
That's
dude
awesome.
tucked tail, you know what I'm saying? A
Yep.
supposed 30-year fucking veteran tucked tail and lost to a fucking guy that only had fucking 4 years of experience.
Yep.
And that is why dudes don't just get to run around and fucking cry about fucking wages, dude. And
Yes.
discuss
Definitely.
wages, and you know what I mean? Like, it's no
Yeah.
good.
I mean, this is like the whole equal pay thing, right? It's like it's the outcome, right? I mean, it's like these guys all produce at different levels. They all run the show differently. Some are really efficient, some are super inefficient. Like there's such a range of what people can do. Reliability, some guys are 5 minutes early every day. I have one of my guys who shows up 10 minutes early every day. He's like fucking doing stretches and push-ups in the morning. Like, he's an older guy, but he's stretching every day before work, like he's probably 15 minutes early every day.
Yeah.
But it's like, I never have to think twice of whether that guy's going to be on site or not on time, and I've got some guys where it's like, fuck, I always have to think, are they going to be on time today or not? It's like, there's a big difference, and the guy that's super reliable is really valuable to me, you know,
Yeah.
but whatever. Yeah, so we'll dig in on this next episode. We should have enough time to get some information out. I guess we'll just start getting
Yeah.
messages out
We'll
there.
just
But
start doing some research. I'm going to hit guys up in my local area. I'm going to dig into some pay rates here. I'll hit up Oklahoma. Um, let's
yeah, I mean, I
see.
think we'll do the coast, East Coast and West Coast,
Yeah.
and then we'll get Middle America figured out. I mean, we're not going to do every state, but we can get a
Yeah.
good range
But
and
that's
figure
for
out
for
where
the
everyone's at.
dater. I
Yeah,
told Johnny when I talked to him about it that I didn't want to necessarily discuss numbers, just because it's, something that I know that some of my competitors are probably watching these podcasts and stuff. But
yeah,
um I mean, whatever.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't, in terms of me estimating, I don't care what of my competitors know my price.
Hmm.
I feel like sometimes I get fake phone calls and people are trying to solicit numbers from me.
Yeah,
I don't care if people know those types of numbers, because numbers don't translate to experience in terms of, or quality in terms of, like, estimating. Like,
yeah.
if
Even the
it,
customer experience when you're on an estimate, how
yeah,
they take you in.
I was crunching numbers on this house that I did, and I was over, the one that I was incurring losses on. And
Hmm.
um the homeowners have been awesome, and they have, they're not done yet, but they're supposedly going to pay out my losses and stuff. And
Yeah,
dude,
it's
like,
awesome.
I'm fucking, I think I'm well over $20 a square foot on that house.
Yeah.
So, like, no, the
Yeah.
numbers don't translate. Like, if I told some painter, hey, this house was $25 a square foot, like, for
Right.
one, they'd probably think I was full of shit. And two, like, those dudes might be painting some shitty spec homes. Like, nothing's
Yeah,
ever going to translate back and forth in terms of experience or
definitely.
quality, so
Yeah.
numbers
100%.
don't really mean much from company to company.
Yeah.
Just,
I mean, I still hold true. Like, time and materials would be the best case scenario for everybody as long as everybody's honest. You know,
yeah.
honest day's work. Like, that's the most fair way to do it. All right. So we've got a change on our YouTube channel. It's now on the Paint Sniffer Podcast YouTube channel. So everything will start getting posted there. All of the first 1 through 9 episodes will stay on Alpha Painting. What is that? What is the YouTube channel? Is it
Uh,
just Alpha Painting?
yeah, it's just Alpha Painting LLC,
Yeah.
more than likely.
Okay. Yeah. But then from here on out, we'll be posting them up on the Paint Sniffer podcast YouTube channel.
Yep.
Yeah,
Starting
and
from
then I think
episode 10, which is the Fine Paints podcast, is on the new Paint Sniffer.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that one. That one's pretty solid. We've got Danny on there and Sam, the right painter. And we're trying to upgrade our sound system. After recording with Danny, we realized all of ours sound like dog shit compared to his. So
Yeah, dude, I'm
we're
hoping
working on the sound.
I'm hoping I've turned my audio up and I can see my audio maxing. I'm really hoping that I am not over maxing like once I get into the editing process.
Yeah,
You know,
we'll
and
see.
it's like way too loud.
Yeah. All right, that's it for us.
All right,
See you next time.
later.
As always, please like our YouTube page, give us 5-star only reviews on all podcast platforms. If you have questions or comments, send them over to hello@paintsniffers.com or on Instagram @paint_sniffers.
You can also watch the video version of the podcast on the Alpha Painting YouTube page. Go to playlists and it will be filed under Paint Sniffer Podcast. Via YouTube, you can write into QA@paintsniffer.com.
Thank you for listening to Paint Sniffer Podcast.